Welcome to Hornbeat News, the voice of truth, insight, and progress from the Horn of Africa. It was a crisp autumn day in London on Saturday, October 11, 2025, but tensions were anything but cool. Inside the meeting rooms of the Park Plaza Victoria, the Ethiopian National Dialogue Commission (NDC) had convened a closed session with the UK Diaspora to review submitted agenda items. But just outside, a storm was brewing. Members of the Ethiopian Amhara community, coordinated by groups such as London Fano and the Birmingham Amhara community, gathered in force. Their message was plain and powerful. They would not legitimize a process they perceived as controlled by the state. They claimed the dialogue was hollow without real accountability for violence in Amhara and demanded justice before any meaningful national conversation could begin. Chanting slogans and waving banners, the protesters took over the entrance to Park Plaza Victoria, turning what was meant to be a diaspora engagement into a public repudiation. One voice among many called for the immediate cessation of hostilities against Amhara civilians, for transitional justice first, then dialogue. Inside, the ENDC carried on, but its efforts were overshadowed. The protesters viewed the entire initiative as a facade, a way for the government to claim it invited broad participation, while ignoring the deepest grievances. By day's end, opposition groups had achieved what they intended: a visible, unified boycott. Though the NDC and the Ethiopian embassy in the UK remained publicly silent on demands such as releasing detained community leaders and addressing alleged atrocities, the protesters felt their stance had been made unmistakably clear. London's Amhara diaspora that day sent a message: national dialogue, if it is ever to be accepted, must begin from justice, not from glossed-over gestures. The protest in London is not an isolated diaspora grievance. It is deeply entwined with the escalating war between Ethiopia's federal forces and the fano militias of the Amhara region. The armed conflict known as the War in Amhara, the fano insurgency, officially began in April 2023, when tensions had already been rising. A major flashpoint was the federal government's move to dissolve the Amhara Regional Special Forces and absorb them under federal control. Many within those forces and allied groups refused to disband or integrate, viewing the move as a threat to regional autonomy and their security. From mid-2023 onward, clashes intensified. In August 2023, the government declared a 6-month state of emergency in Amhara after widespread fighting erupted between federal troops and regional forces. In 2024, Fano launched broader offensives across the region, temporarily seizing strategic locations and key roadways. The federal military responded with counteroffensives, including drone strikes, reprisals, and urban operations. One tragic incident was the Merowe massacre in January 2024, where, after fighting with Fano militants, Ethiopian troops were accused of executing dozens of civilians in retributive operations. Over the course of the conflict, thousands of civilians have been displaced, and human rights groups allege serious abuses by both sides. The London protest is a diasporal echo of the grievances festering in Amhara. The protesters reject what they see as a sham national dialogue that sidesteps accountability, especially in the Amhara war zone, where civilians continue to suffer. Their demands justice first, then dialogue mirror the core complaint of many Amhara civilians suffering amid the conflict: that no meaningful peace or reconciliation can follow until violations are acknowledged and redressed. The London diaspora considers itself part of the broad Ethiopian body politic. Their boycott is intended to signal that diaspora input cannot legitimize a process that ignores the war's consequences. Thus, the confrontation in London is not separate as a diaspora front in the larger struggle over how Ethiopia will address war, accountability, and national unity. The London protest signals that even beyond Ethiopia's borders, the stakes of this war are deeply felt and fought. For more updates like this, make sure to subscribe, like, and share this video. This is Hornbeat News, bringing you daily stories that matter.